Hey, welcome back to the podcast, everyone. We have a special episode here today. Over the years, I have kept my ear to the ground as I have met with or become familiar or acquainted with music school owners. And every once in a while, I hear a really interesting story, a unique way that someone does marketing, or a unique way of hiring, or something someone learned in building a massive school. As I talked to our guest today, Kevin, he told me about something that he was doing, a very unique marketing method that he had come across and had been utilizing in his school. And I was just like, man, I want to dig into this more. I'm just kind of curious myself. So, Kevin, welcome on the podcast. Tell us a little bit about yourself, about your school. Tell us a little about you, just for context as we get into this cool episode we're going to do today.
Yeah, I own a music school in Denver, Colorado called Jam to the Beat. And I've been recently just exploring different ways of marketing, and this I think I've taken it to different measures to make it bigger, is actually going into schools and performing musical shows, like 45-minute shows, creating like just a time for students to interact. A lot of times it's in elementary schools. But yeah, I've been starting to do that over the last probably couple years here in the Denver metro area. And I've started to grab some more traction. I've been doing it for a couple of years, but this last, I feel like 6 to 8 months, I've had some ideas, even better to give it some more traction, to getting some students into my music school. I have a school that's right now sitting around 90 students. And it's been going for 7 or 8 years now.
That's awesome, Kevin. So, just to put the whole idea out here at the beginning, as Kevin said here, he's going into music schools and doing these performances, these presentations slash
Going into elementary schools.
Elementary schools, yes, yeah. Not competitor music schools, but into elementary schools there in the Denver area, and doing these performances slash presentations and getting leads that way. And something that Kevin said really piqued my interest. And so he is doing things in a little bit of a unique way. He's put his own spin on this technique. And yeah, that's what we're going to cover here today. Because again, I like to keep the podcast nice and practical a lot of times. And we have covered many things over the years. We did a video with a gal named Margie about a year and a half back where she was talking about low cost or free organic methods of getting students. We'll put a link to that in the show notes. We've had Brian King on multiple times where he's talked about different things. And he, of course, was a professional marketer before he opened a music school. And so he had some unique ideas about how to get students into a school. But I've never quite heard of someone doing exactly what Kevin's doing here. So, Kevin, you've given the overview, the big idea. Could you maybe describe in a bit more detail what you've been doing? And we might even get into the nitty gritty of it a little bit deeper. But yeah, maybe go into more detail and set up for us maybe where the idea originated from, exactly what the idea is, and then, kind of how you execute it. And, if I have questions, I'll ask some clarifying questions as we keep going on.
Yeah. So my first kind of thought around was just like, okay, I want to go into a school and play music and pass out flyers, host an assembly is what I'm basically doing. Like seeing if there's some students who want to host this, or a school want to host this assembly. And I was just like, I don't even know what I would do. I remember for the first one we did, I was just like, I've got this huge plan of like, oh, this song, what do we do? And do some education around it, some teaching times. And so the basic format of what I do is I've connected with a lot of local schools. You're going to find in any bigger city, Denver, even smaller, you're going to find a lot of schools, just find their information, reaching out to them, being consistent about reaching out to them. But then also recently I've been walking into the schools. I am a certified school teacher, and I do some substitute teaching also in the schools. I taught in the public schools for 10 years. So that's one thing that's probably given me a little bit of an advantage to be able to get into schools, be like certified sub, taught elementary school in the public schools for 10 years. So that gives me kind of a quicker kind of in. I'm saying everybody would have a little bit of something, but that's pretty unique to me. And having like a package of this is what we do. This is what we provide, a link in there that you can see a video of one of, after we did a few shows, I got some good video of it, quick little 45-second video that I can attach to an email, whether I'm sending it to a person in the front office or the principal or the music teacher sometimes. Once I did one or two, I was like, man, this is so easy and this is so fun. We're just, what I do is I bring one or two other teachers with me. So there's 3 teachers and there's about 3 other students with me, some good, talented students. And at Jam to the Beat, what I teach my students to do is a variety of instruments, a lot of guitar, drums, piano, bass, ukulele stuff, singing a little bit. I teach them to play together. And I'm just like, I put them together. We practice for the first few shows, but now we don't even need to practice because the people that I bring, they know what we're doing. And we have the same list of 10 songs. We usually just, when we're getting into, when it comes to booking, getting into the conversation you have to send off so many emails that I've done but I'm just like, each email I send, if I get one lead, one conversation with a teacher or a front desk that's kind of interested, I'll be like, that's flyers in the hands of maybe 100-200 students, most likely, physical flyers in the hands that are going home to the parents. And those are the students that I thrive off of, those younger students that, usually those can hang on for a longer time. But yeah, that's kind of basically what we'll do. We'll go in that just to give some logistics of what a show is. We usually have a drummer, piano player, guitar. I'm leading it. Actually, do I have it with me? Yeah, I do. In the last show, this was very helpful. This little guy right here, my puppet, just talking. If you're watching the video, you can see my little scruffy.
Yeah, if you're on YouTube, he's trying
to see and I'll talk about this a little bit later about what I think that like just silly stuff like that got the kids excited. So you not only want to get into the schools, but you got to have a plan as to what you're going to do to get the kids excited. And one of the biggest highlights of my show, and I was in a building this morning talking to one that I'm doing this Wednesday. That's supposed to be about 300 students there. And I'm just like, I better do this one right. A lot of kids there. And I was saying, man, who is a talented musician at your school? A 5th grader, a 4th grader, whatever, that can do something, that could actually maybe look at 2 C notes on the piano and be able to play it whenever I play my C chord. Just simple, or a 2nd grade drummer that can play bass, snare. You got to have someone. Because I told the music teacher there, I was just like, the highlight of the show is to get one of your students up on stage, make him or her a star, and just like get their name chanted while we're playing the music, and get that kid up on stage. And then every kid is excited about music. First off, I love that. And that's why we teach music, right? To see kids have success in it initially. But then whenever it's just like all these kids are pumped about it and they saw somebody, and what I'll do is I'll just say when we're setting up and doing a quick sound check, I'll say, send that kid down for 10 minutes. And I can teach a kid in 10 minutes to play almost any kid, like bass, snare, or just like 2 notes on the piano and just play the root notes with us on something. But yeah, get them excited too. It's that's kind of the layout of the show. Is like we'll play through songs, we'll do some education in it, talk basics just around just like what is music, how many strings are on a guitar, what's the name of a few of the drums, different styles of music on the piano. I blindfold my student while he's playing piano, put a blindfold around him, he keeps playing. The kids are wowed. And get them excited about it. At the end of the show, all of the teachers and students there that are helping me, my students at my school that have come in to play too, have flyers and hand them to them at the door as they're going out and be like, hey, you look like you could be a guitar player. You look like a piano player. Hey, fill this out. And what I do is like once they fill it out, they turn it back in. I go back to school later, and whoever fills out the flyers entered to win a guitar or a piano. So it's kind of a little more motivation. Just say, do you want to win the piano? Fill this out. Bring it back. I'll come back on Friday. Bring your performance back by Friday. By when? Friday, And I come back in and grab this.
Cool. All right. I have a lot of questions to ask you.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to go in order, but let me just ask a question about what you just said right there. So they fill these flyers out, they bring them back, and then presumably you now have the parents' contact info, correct? When they fill that
Yes.
out?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you turn this into leads. This is
Yeah,
how you
just
turn it into
something like
prospects.
this. They just fill it out. Information's right there,
Got it. Okay.
and that turns into leads. I got email, phone number, name, parent name, kid name.
Got it. Okay. From those flyers right there, let's say how many um, forms do you think you're going to get back from this school on Wednesday? Like if it follows your previous pattern, or if it follows what's typically yielded from past shows that you've done, if you had a show with 300 kids in it, how many forms do you think you're going to get back?
Well, if I took maybe an average,
Mm-hmm.
on average over the last like 4 shows, I get about 20% of them back. It's gone up lately. I have a couple ideas of what to do now to make it go even skyrocket more. We'll just talk about it here in a few minutes. But 20%, I mean, that's about 60.
60, yeah.
And that's people that have actually taken the form. The kid marked, I'm interested in drums. I'm interested in piano. So
Okay.
even when the phone calls, I'm just like, I call them up, be like, hey, you entered to win the guitar at this elementary school, your kid's elementary school, and they said that they were interested in learning the guitar. I'll let you know if you do win the guitar on the phone. So I'm leaving a voicemail on. They're like, enter to win, like they're thinking there's a prize behind it. And yeah, it kind of depends on how fast I follow up for that, and that's something I learned.
That is true.
The program. It's just like
Yeah.
If you're following up within 7 days, that's a lot better than stretching it out over 3 weeks. Huge difference.
Yeah, for sure. Do they give the email as well?
Yeah.
Do you ever use email or text follow up as well?
So my first initial follow up is usually a text.
Okay.
The first follow up, because I got the number. I've always just noticed that like that doesn't get. I mean, that's more likely something they're going to see before they're going to see an email and probably even answer their phone, right? Yeah. So that's the first thing I do, and then I've got a schedule listed out. Be like, okay, day 1, I'm sending a text. Day 3, I'm making a phone call. Day 4, sometimes I'll send like a voice memo, which I was surprised at how many people actually, are actually appreciate a voice memo too. They can listen to it, and there's more personality within it, than just a text.
So a voice memo, like through iMessage or through text.
Yeah, through iMessage. Through
nice,
text.
Cool. Mm-hmm. That's great. I love that.
That's what I've been doing more recently, and sometimes I'll even send them a quick video of me saying, "Hey, this is Kevin here." Really short, 20-second video of just maybe, they may get it or not. I don't know how well their phones will work to receive videos like that, but yeah. But my hopes are like with 300 students to get at least 60 back. But I do have some ideas of how to even skyrocket that even more.
Get even more. Okay. Now, again, I want to go through each piece of what you described before and maybe ask some clarified questions, because I think the devil's in the details with something like this. But we're going to get to it piece by piece. The other thing I want to ask you about the quote results would be, what kind of conversion rate do you see at different points of the funnel? So you call, how many people do you actually get in touch with? Of that, how many people actually turn into students? And if you don't have like exact numbers, if it's more, if it's an approximate number, I'm cool with that too. But I'm just trying to figure out what the yield is here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So when I just tracked the last 4 shows. Okay. 2 of them I did last year. And one of them I had 10 flyers filled out, and I don't remember the size of these schools, so I couldn't tell you the accuracy of like how many kids were there. 10 flyers returned to me, and I had 1 sign up for a trial.
See, 1 in 10 is very good, though. Keep going.
Yeah. And then the next one is about there's like 2 out of 19 actually came in for a trial.
Okay.
On another one, and those are sitting right about 10%. Right. These last couple that I did. The one thing I changed at this next school, and I was just like, what's interesting is the last 2 that I did, the music teacher at the one school was the same music teacher at the other school I went to. And both of these were very different. And I was wondering, what did I do different? So there's one school that's probably about 250 kids. The other school is probably about the same. and I had 72 flyers returned. And I was just like, what? Like, yay, that's great, 72. And I went to this other school that was like about the same number of kids, did about the same thing. What I do is like, I'll do the show, hand out flyers at the end. I follow up afterwards. And one other detail is like, I send them a video of me doing the drawing for the guitar, a quick little 45-second video. I send it to the school. I asked the teacher to show it in all the classrooms. And then I was like, hey, kids, it was great playing at the assembly. And I'm going to spin this wheel. I put a wheel on the screen or whatever. And oh, Jacqueline, you won. I'll reach out to you. And if anybody else wants to do a free trial lesson, just let me know. Here's a code down here. You're having parents scan that. It's just another connect point. And I'm just saying I did the same things at both schools. The first one was 72 flyers filled out. The next one was only 11. And I realized I did it on a Thursday, and they had a 4-day weekend after. And I was like, that's the only thing that was really different. That, and then I talked to the teacher afterwards. I asked him if I could pick his brain a little bit, and he's like happy to take 15 minutes. And he also said that like the parent support is just not great at this school compared to the other one.
Interesting.
And he was at both. So, and I was just like, okay, he's like, that might be part of it too. And I was glad he shared that with me, just to know like which communities have good parent support.
Interesting.
Because it goes home and the parents, like, they don't care about it and it's not coming back to me. Right. You know, but this other school, he said the parent support at home is very great. That's why I got 72 there and 11 at the other, which I think combined with like, I would not want to do these assemblies like on maybe not even on a Friday with a regular weekend. You want to do it like on a Tuesday or a Wednesday and say, I'm coming back on Friday to pick these forms up. Make sure you bring it home to your mom and dad so you can win the guitar. And all the kids start talking about it. But if you do it over the weekend, the energy's all gone. I come back on Monday or Tuesday. I was just like, I feel like that's the main difference. So I don't know if that's your question.
Well, I think about my son coming home from school on Friday because he'll get in the car and he says, he's already there. He's like, oh my word, thank goodness it's Friday. I don't have to go to school on Monday. You know, like I see that in his energy. That's an interesting insight to have. Okay.
So the percentages that I got back, so it was 10% for those other two shows that were actually brought into trial lessons. The next two were 27% and 36%.
Wow. So you're getting, it sounds like you're getting better at it. Yeah.
Coming back into, now they're actually in here for a trial lesson. The only thing I'll tell you, like right now, like I said this earlier, the only thing I feel like I really changed at the last two shows, it was just last second. And I remember I left my house and I forgot. I was just like, oh, I need this. And I was just like, I need to bring a puppet. And I was like, here's Scruffy, the musical puppy. And I bring him up. And I'm just like, Scruffy, can you sing? Like, and he tries to sing. He's like, ah! He doesn't really sing very well. I was like, and the kids coming for the trial lesson, they're just like, hey, where's Scruffy? And I'll pull him out. And it's just like, it's that easy. And I am just like I mean, you do have to have someone that's like energetic enough to like lead one of these shows. Yes. That's another aspect to really think about. Like, are you someone that knows how to like just be fun? Like when the kids are singing back to me and they're like, all right, kids, sing this, ready, let's go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'll like fall over and just like have fun with the kids. You got to have someone within your school that's willing to be energetic and fun and interactive with the kids and be able to just call and response with them and just have a good time. But also, you have to be able to keep control of the kids. Like that's something that and I taught in the schools for 10 years. So I know how to do, be like, okay, all right, kids, I'm not talking until you're listening to me or whatever. Like, and I see that. Oh, good job. You in the pink shirt, you're listening well. You are. Okay, great. Give her the inflatable guitar. I'll bring little prizes and stuff to this show and pass out little emoji balls or stickers and stuff like that. Yeah, so knowing how to direct one of those shows is another question that I could dive into also. Yeah. It takes personality that's good for it.
I get that. And I don't talk about this in the podcast much, but my degree is in music education. And when I did my internship, I was in the music department of a large private school. It's actually, it's one of the largest private day schools in America, 3,200 kids, K through 12. And I had a fifth and sixth grade choir, and it was not their only one, and it had 60 kids in it, and they met for music, each week. And yeah, keeping 60 fifth and sixth graders in a classroom directed when you're 21 years old, that's a little bit of a challenge, but fortunately I got the skills, which then ended up helping me later, as a big part of my career has been about group lessons. I don't know if I have the career that I've had in group lessons without that background in classroom teaching, because I just was so comfortable with it. Anyway, that's enough about me. Anyway, so because I want to keep digging into what you're talking about here. There's something you said at the beginning, and I want to dig into that a little bit more. And part of the reason for that is that in some of these episodes where we've highlighted particular techniques or unique things that schools are doing, I do just want to say this to those who are listening right now. Part of this is, yes, you could do this yourself, but part of it too is looking inside yourself and saying, what unique opportunities, or what's unique about the area that I'm in, or what's unique about my personality, where if you deploy your creativity, you come up with what your thing is. And certainly Kevin said that because this background as a public school teacher, as he mentioned at the very beginning, has given him a bit of an advantage. So I do want to encourage everyone. Yes, you could do something like this, but then also dig into yourself and figure out what you're doing unique. Or if you are doing something unique, please reach out to me. We'd love to do an episode with you. But Kevin, getting along with what you said there, or going along with what you said there at the very beginning, I do want to dive a little bit deeper into how you get the attention of the schools. Any hacks or tricks or best practices that people should be aware of? Because you said, oh yeah, I just contact the administrator, or I contact the front office, or I contact the music teacher. Is it really that simple? Is it just sending an email and they fire an email back to you within 15 seconds and they're like, oh yes, please come in? Is there anything that you've done other than that promotional video that kind of shows what it is to let their guard down, or to make them more receptive to you? Are there any tips or tricks or hacks or best practices that you would tell people to get past those gatekeepers, or to get an audience with those gatekeepers?
Yeah, well, I know for me, because I mean, I'll say first off, it's like, because I've subbed in some of these schools, I already have some connections. Once I got in with one music teacher, I actually subbed in her classroom. I'm trying to remember if it was even, I may have even done the subbing like after I played this show there, but like, so that's what a lot of people don't really have though. So that would not be helpful for the majority of people, unless you want to just like, maybe some people just like, oh, a lot of people could become a certified substitute teacher.
That's true.
They could, if it's worth it to you, to say, I'll make a little extra money too and do some substitute teaching on Fridays, and go to some of the schools and just talk and actually swing by the music room and be like, hey, I teach music also. Just say hi. That's huge. But
I'll even jump in there. Both my mom and my dad's sister taught in the public schools in the township I live in. And when I was very new to teaching, like in my first couple of years, they both knew. My mom was a sub in the district, and my dad's sister was a first grade teacher in the district. And they introduced me to all the music teachers, and they let me hang flyers in all the music rooms across the entire system. Mm-hmm. And I did get requests from that. So becoming a certified sub's even better, because you end up knowing that staff really, really well. And that's a great tip there, Kevin. All right, keep going. Sorry, I just want to put that in there.
If you wanted to do that, pursue that, go for it. One thing I've been doing lately, doing more, and this is before I started booking some shows, is actually having a physical packet and going to the schools, ringing the doorbells, having them awkwardly open the door, like, who the heck are you? You're like, hey, I wanted to drop this flyer off. If you know someone's name, like even if you just go up, you previously emailed with the music teacher and you just go to the website and find the music teacher's name. It's like, I was previously emailing with Miss Bishop, and I just wanted to leave her this flyer about the free assembly we host. And they're like, okay, cool, I'll give it to her. See ya. Or if they want to hear more, I can talk about more. And then really follow up with email through that and be like, okay, great. What's your name? Oh, it's Linda in the office. Okay, great. And just write that down and then follow up consistently with those schools. making phone calls, shooting emails off, and just doing that consistent, like you would do within almost any other marketing program, doing that consistently. And if you say you're going to follow up next week, actually do it. So that's been a big thing. Is actually, I've been trying to do that more, because I do feel like that gets me in there, because I'm not going to sub in all the schools around here, and I just don't have time to do that much subbing anyways. But like that's been a big thing, is actually going into the schools, seeing the face of someone in the office. You get to know someone in the office. That's great. And then when it comes down to it, saying the right things in an email that you would send them, obviously, having the promo video, I think in the emails that I send them, I will mention, that this is a free opportunity for your students. I'm not going to charge anything for it. I want to give away a free guitar and a free piano in the drawing. And just a lot of people will say like, well, we don't do assemblies here. We don't have time for that. And I'm just like, okay, well, that's cool. I mean, I may push it a little bit more a few months later or whatever. And yeah, those are basically some of the most important things, is going into schools and just following as much as you can.
This episode is sponsored by grouplessons.com. If you're looking for a group piano method that is easy to implement in your studio or school, look no farther than Piano Express from grouplessons.com. Because unlike most group piano methods, Piano Express allows students to make individual progress within the context of a larger group. And because of the at-home practice tools and gamified curriculum, students using the Piano Express method make faster progress than the average method book student. And that helps students feel excited, accomplished, and motivated to learn new music. Also, the system is really adaptable. We've got teachers using the system in their home studios, and we have many large commercial studios running our 3-room model that allows you to see up to 24 students per hour with just 2 teachers. So if you'd like to learn more about Piano Express, navigate to grouplessons.com and sign up for a free demo. You'll get to look at the method, our app and teacher guides, and we'll even give you a sneak peek of our implementation plan that has helped hundreds of studios start their group program in just a few weeks. You do a lot of different marketing techniques. I know from past conversation from you, you do digital ads. There's other things that you do. In terms of effort level and preparation, how would you rate this in terms of complexity or difficulty to do this? Obviously, I realize someone would probably need to be comfortable with getting up on a stage in front of a couple hundred kids and leading something like that. But
actually, I was just thinking, I was like, the show Wednesday's 300 people. 300 kids. I hope I'm ready for this. You made me a little nervous when you're thinking about it. I haven't done for 300 yet. What if the kids won't shut up?
Yeah. Oh, whoa, right? So, and the reason I asked this question is just that, over the years, I have taught a number of different marketing techniques, like a lot of different marketing techniques. And typically, there are some that I would just recommend for everyone. Google Ads, for instance. And, I recommend everybody take my marketing training because I will show you the best Google Ads training in the world, bar none. But then there are some people who have a personality for what you're doing. There are some people who have a personality for, the camp fair or the community fair, like Brian King talked about around episode 75 or 80 of our podcast. There's some people who they are just fantastic at social media. I think of one of our Piano Express clients who's also in our accelerator program. She has one of the best Instagrams I've ever seen for Music Studio. Everybody has their thing.
Yeah.
But in terms of difficulty, and the reward for it, how would you rate this? Is this hard to do you think? Just overall, not just the assembly itself, but just putting it together, like that sort of thing.
It's not difficult for me, per se. I've done a lot of this type of stuff before. Like I've led a lot of kids camps with the church or whatnot.
Interesting.
And just get the kids clapping. I know how to do that. And like, yeah, I've been like on stage a lot in my life too.
Okay.
And like performing for people. So there's not a lot of nerves really about like the musical part at all. But like when it comes to a lot, like the amount of work I put into it, I remember it was just like, man, it took a lot to just drive around town and pass out some of those flyers. Like, I hope those turn into leads. I think
Sure.
one of them did, and sometimes it's hard to quantitate um, how much that was worth. But I just thought, okay, each one of these schools, like, that I go to, like, I'd rather take 3 hours driving around, and I'm just listening to music, whatever I like, listening to music, and it's like,
Right. Me too.
right. But like, and just stopping in some schools, it feels awkward at first, and once you figure out what you're going to say, at a few schools, and get ready for someone to say, "Oh, wait, are you a certified vendor here?" It was like, no, but I could. You know, I went. A couple teachers said that in a district, and I'm just like, no, but like, I played at a school down the road, and she's like, okay, well, I might try to give this to the principal. We'll see. So just to get used
Interesting.
to like the possible rejection. Some people just don't like that, but I don't care.
Sure.
Like, I just know
Yeah.
that, like, that's yeah. I mean, ultimately, like, I mean, I love to have I mean, well, you go back to the heart of the issue. Even in marketing and music and everything, to give people a chance to learn music and to change lives. Are you motivated to do that? And honestly, I'm just like, I actually kind of like. I mean, I grew up as like something that's more personal, like, get to know people personally rather than just. I mean, yeah, it works to do the digital marketing. Do it. But I was just like, man, I actually like this better than sitting in my office for 3 hours, sitting off, setting these emails to go off, or the marketing, Google ads and stuff. Like, I'd rather just drive around and talk to other real people. And I think also like, that is what
Mm.
creates new students. Like, as we were chatting about, like, just like, man, because I teach in a building where there's actually 5 music schools here. It's weird. It's a weird, interesting situation. So we could,
Mm.
kind of like, there's competition. Like, I rent
Sure.
out a space, and right next door, like, she's a great piano and vocal teacher. I don't teach much vocal, so it's not competition there, but we both teach piano. And I remember I was sitting at a lesson yesterday, and I was like, this little girl would probably do great with her. She's a great piano teacher. But I didn't steal this student in this area. I created this
Right.
student,
Right.
because like, I found, like, I went to somewhere that she wasn't even like necessarily marketing to. Maybe she was, I don't know. And there's other teachers here, but like, I think that, like, the amount of time I put into it is definitely worth it, because it's a different type of push. And it's like, I mean, I don't like, certain marketing ways might get boring and stuff, but I like to keep pushing and be creative with it. So does that answer your question,
Yeah, it
Travis?
certainly does. And I think an observation I want to make is that once you, so I kind of see a pathway here. This is a little bit less systematic than, let's say, making a Google Ads campaign that just runs on autopilot month after month. But I'm starting to see the system here, which is you you do the legwork first, maybe even getting into just one school and then leveraging that school to get into others. It'll be much
Yes.
easier. And
Yeah.
then I would imagine that it's not like you're going and doing an assembly at the school every week. You're probably doing it once a school year, maybe twice tops. Um, but I imagine you come back, it'll be easier for you to come back in the future, because then you just email that teacher and maybe
Mhm.
set up an assembly next school year. Um, and maybe
Yeah.
you
There's been
change
schools
this.
I've gone back to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe you change the program a little bit,
Yeah. Just
just
change the
like,
concept.
yeah, you know how comedians make a new set, they make a new hour when they do their
Yeah.
tours. Maybe you'll bring in a different puppet next time. I don't know. But yeah, I can see where this would get easier the longer you do it, which of course is just how life works. It's how music lessons works. You're
Yeah.
playing harder songs, but it feels easier because your skill has increased. Um, cool. Um, let's see. I think that was kind of all of the specific follow up questions I wanted to ask you. This is where maybe I'll ask a more open ended question, and maybe we're coming close to the end here. Um, but and I'm putting you on the spot here, but you might feel that I've already asked this already and you have nothing to add, but I will just ask it again, maybe in a different way. Are there any nuances that you've learned? Is there anything across either the way that you reached out to people or things that you did in the actual shows, or the way in which you did follow-up, like just everything in the whole system. Is there anything that you tried that didn't work? Or are there any nuances that you learned that you're like, oh yeah, if someone were to do this, they definitely need to know that? Anything like either of those, something you tried that didn't work, or nuances that are kind of nitty gritty, granular?
Yeah. So at one of the shows, I started throwing. I mean, I mentioned earlier just having prizes to throw at people, and I threw out emoji balls. One of the shows worked fine because they were in like stadium seating and they couldn't like move. And I realized at the last show, throwing some emoji balls, there was like dog piles of people, kids. It was like, okay, hold on. Yeah, because I threw the emoji ball out, the soft emoji ball. They tried to grab it, and their friend tries to grab it, and they're just jumping on each other.
Because were they on the floor, or were they on?
Yeah, on the gym floor. A lot of these are in gymnasiums.
Okay.
So they're on the floor. I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna stop doing that. I'll give them emoji balls. And I would really highly recommend that. I mean, I bring in my whole sound system. I have my own personal sound system.
Nice.
And that's something that people would need to invest in if they don't have that already, because like a lot of times the schools are not going to offer that. Although some of them have offered me that, but that would be a nightmare to try to figure out their sound system and something go wrong or whatever without checking it ahead of time. But then also I realized another great idea. Like actually my wife came up with it last week. I was just like, I'm going to the school. Like, I want to make sure I do it right. And she's like, what? I was about to book another one. And they said, can you come in the last day of school? Just like, that's not going to work.
No.
I need the flyers to come back to me. But I was just brainstorming with my wife a little bit. And she's just like, well, what if you bring the flyers in early? I was like, oh, wait. If you bring them in a week early, have them bring it home. They have to have their parents fill it out and bring it back during the show. That could still work because they do it, and you have to bring it back to win the guitar. So for this show I'm doing this week, I actually went there today. I dropped off the flyers today. Can you give them to all your students today? And then Wednesday I'm going to pick them up. Then I'm also going to have some more there on Wednesday. Be like, you guys still turn these in by Friday. I'm trying to see how that works too, because if I have two chances for it to possibly go home and get it in the parents' hands, then we'll see if the percentages go up for that too. That's one thing that just, the more, it just goes to show, like, the more you just talk about it. Like, like, there's just an idea that came from my wife that we don't talk very much marketing strategy here and there. And it's just like, oh, wait, we had that idea. One of them use that for all my shows. Just bring them in early. Bring the forms in early and say, fill this out so you can win the guitar on Wednesday.
Yeah. And see, again, and this is what I'll point out to the audience. I just want to highlight this, is that a lot of the great marketing ideas I've had have been iterative. They've gotten better over time because I have some initial success, and then that initial success leads to ideas and creativity that I never could have had unless I'd tried something. The same thing's happening with you, Kevin. Like, you're experimenting on what's working, and I just imagine you're going to get better and better at this as you go along. Like, that's just, I can just tell. I said I didn't have any more questions, but I actually did want to ask, and this might be too granular, but you said for the one school, they asked if you were one of the certified vendors.
Yeah.
What is that? And have you thought of becoming one?
Because if one school said it, I'd be like, I don't know. Two of them said it. And I was just like, but what's interesting, I'm already like playing at one of the schools within that district, and I'm not a certified vendor. I'm just like, yeah, I should look into it. It wouldn't be a bad thing to look into. Like, I wonder if I became a certified vendor, if I wouldn't even have to do as much marketing. It's like, oh, there's a list of certified vendors, and like the PTO association, whatever, they're talking about things to do, and I'm one of the certified vendors or whatever. And they're like, oh, I heard from this other music teacher. Then maybe it would just happen more organically, but I haven't pursued it yet.
Yeah. And then now I'm just brainstorming. So I did have a very slight connection to the local schools because of my mom and my aunt, right? But then once I started since I taught group lessons, I had a lot of students relative to my studio size. I had students that then were doing musical things at the schools. And then some of the teachers at some of those schools heard my name more and more because they said, well, who's your teacher? Oh, Daniel Patterson. And then they would reach out to me with opportunities like, hey, we're looking for sponsors for this thing. We're doing like a fundraiser for our school or the music, or, we're trying to get a new sound system at the school, or we want to take the kids to ISO, but we need sponsors. They would reach out to me and I would sponsor events and get an ad placement, like in, that sort of thing. Or I could do ad placements in the programs for the drama, the drama things at the high school, or the sports events. And so I started doing that, and I'm just thinking, if you're already such a known quantity because of these assemblies, if schools like this had opportunities to sponsor, that would just increase the recognition, especially like if you put your logo on the things that go home, or your face on the things that go home, and then you put those in the ads. The parents would see that, recognize you, and then I could even see how it would be helpful for you to put your face on ads if you ran like even local Facebook ads. Parents might see that, recognize, and again, it's that recency as well as volume of times that you come in contact with a business. Again, this is just a way to increase that, so I'm just kind of pointing that out for the audience in general, not necessarily you, Kevin, because you're already super creative. I know you're probably thinking this stuff. Have you thought about doing private schools? Have you thought about going to private schools in the area where maybe it isn't attached to the government, so there isn't as much maybe gatekeeping? Have you thought about that?
Yeah. So actually, I have gone and I did one show at a smaller private school already.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. That's awesome. Just thinking of other ways that for those who might want to do this, having been inspired by you today, that might be a good first step, is to maybe try the local private schools. Again, just reaching on back into my own experience. I became so well known at the local Catholic school that at one point in time, a third of my entire school were students at the local parish school. And the local Catholic church, I actually had a sponsored ad in their weekly Sunday bulletin. I'm not even Catholic, but I was in their bulletin. And usually they only open it to people who are members of the church. But I had so many students in that local church that they just let me do it.
Yeah. Man, that's so funny. That's great. That's awesome.
So I think over the years, I've talked so much about Google ads and these big things, but I don't speak as much about some of these little things that can be done, but I do think they're valuable. I do think they're useful. And over time, the accumulation of all these small things can turn into something big.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. When you say like some of these small little things, like this has become like my big push. Like, I'm just like, why not? Like, who is my main audience that I like helping with? Like, of course, if you're mainly doing adult students, this is not for you, but like this is my main audience that I do adult students too, but like this is such a prime audience, and I've got the ability to do this and want to jump into that. And when it comes to that ability, I believe like I have a God-given ability to be able to teach music in my own way. Everybody does. And the humility also to know that I'm not the best at everything. Everybody needs to know that too. Like, I'm teaching a certain thing, I'm just like, you know what? I actually don't know that particular scale. And I took a lot more simplified approach to learning music myself too. And just like trying to just learn basic chord shapes, getting students playing together, and like being able to say like how everybody should know how to like kind of sell your product in your own way and your own personalities, and all these shows, if they were to do it in the way that works well for you. I'm just thankful the chance to take this, what I've loved my whole life, music, and share with others.